it works generally, as I understand it, is the devices listen for a trigger word, which we won't repeat here so that people's devices don't go off.
Yeah.
But then after that, everything is streamed to the cloud. So the devices are fairly dumb. They're focused on, and that's why you can't change the words willy-nilly, because they're programmed for a specific word, and then they start listening and sort of sending it out to the cloud.
So one of these companies, when you choose a name, you have to stick with that name for life at that
Well,
point.
and I think that Amazon app offers a couple options, but by and large, it's only one option, or there's one
Yeah.
or two options. So that's why it's not sort of a willy-nilly choice. The second thing is, and all these companies are in a little bit of a hard place, which is they have built up functionality around the current sort of way that it works. Now, the way that it works is fairly deterministic. They sort of programmed a bunch of questions and answers. Yes, you can go off script a little bit, but they have to sort of figure out what you're talking about so that they can sort of slot it in and give you the right answer. And that's why, if you want to do things like, if I want to open the curtains in my house, I have to do as like an incantation in like the certain words in the right order. I'm about to go back to the US where I actually have this functionality. And every time I go back, it takes me like a couple of days to remember, wait, what's the right incantation to open my freaking curtains, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the point of that is all that functionality that's been done has to be redone. And so, like, you can't, like, even though an LM is obviously way more capable as far as holding a conversation, it's not by default more capable as far as actually doing the stuff people are using these devices for. Now, you
Right.
might sit here and say, look, the market opportunity for having an LM that is amazing and you can talk to is way larger. You should just scrap this and start over. But these companies can't just scrap it and start over. People have built their houses around these devices, right? Like, people have made investments around it. And, it's sort of a, I don't think anyone's going to come along and disrupt them, but it is an example of how you can sort of get stuck in a certain technological dead end, and you have to, and it's a lot more work. Now, can they do, adjust LMs and build them up so that they work even better for opening my curtains? Absolutely. I'm sure they can, but that's going to take time and it's going to be pretty difficult. And there's going to be a lot of edge cases. And I predict a lot of consumer frustration when they do roll out because, they've tried to have these standards and anyone can build to them. And who knows how well all these various entities have actually built to them so that when you change something, this sort of fragile connection of apps and APIs and stuff doesn't sort of fall over. So yeah, I expect it to go this
This is really
direction.
interesting. Honestly, when Grant called it a no-brainer in his email, I was nodding my head, but it sounds like there's a couple more layers of intrigue in terms of how and when this actually gets rolled out. It's not just sort of flipping a switch as far as if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good example of, my old axiom that most people just assume companies are stupid, and actually, if you stop and think, there's probably really good reasons why stuff hasn't happened yet. And yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty heavy lift to make it work for sure.
Yeah.